When I opened my eyes, I found that I had lost my memory. The good news was that I had married my college goddess, Amelia. The bad news was that before I lost my memory, I was a sycophant. I lost my memory after a failed attempt at ending my life. Furious, I slapped myself in the face in front of the mirror because I sincerely loathed sycophants more than anything. Just as I was racking my brain, trying to understand why I would grovel to the point of attempting suicide for Amelia, Daniel, who claimed to be Amelia's true love, made his entrance. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him, so I slapped both of them and asked Amelia for a divorce. To my surprise, Amelia looked bewildered and asked, "Honey, since when did that fool become my true love?" "Boss V, your husband attempted suicide." When I woke up, the first thing I saw was a blinding white light. Before I could react, a sharp pain shot through my wrist. As I started to regain my senses, I heard an anxious female voice. Then I saw a woman standing with her back to me, talking on the phone. She said, "Boss V, Sincere is in the hospital now. Do you want to come and see him?" A cold, emotionless voice responded from the other end. "Is he dead? If not, don't bother me." The call ended, and the woman sighed. She turned around, looked stunned for a moment, then approached me and asked, "You're awake?" I asked, "Who are you?" I looked at her in confusion. "Are you talking to me?" She replied, "You don't recognize me?" Her expression changed, and she said, "I'm Sophia, Boss V's assistant." I asked, "Who is Boss V?" Sophia frowned and looked at me with growing impatience. She said, "Sincere, Boss V is very busy with work. Even if you attempt suicide, it won't make a difference, that especially not if you claim to have amnesia. Give it up. Boss V won't come to see you." I was even more confused and had no idea what she was talking about. Seeing my silence, Sophia stepped closer and said, "Sincere, you've been married to Boss V for 5 years, and you've been causing trouble for 5 years. Boss Fifi has never been able to love you. Don't you think it's time to reflect on yourself and stop causing trouble for Boss V?" Although I still didn't know what was happening, her demeanor made me very uncomfortable, especially looking at her face. I felt a strange aversion. "Wait," I asked, "did you say 5 years?" I rushed into the bathroom attached to the hospital room and looked at myself in the mirror. It was still me, the same face, but more mature, with a hint of lingering melancholy. Could everything Sophia had said be true? Is it really 5 years later? Am I really married? It turned out to be true. I really was married, and for 5 years. I hadn't traveled through time or dreamed. I had lost my memory. My memories were still stuck at age 18, just entering college. I had a crush on an upperclassman named Amelia. She was an impeccable ice queen in terms of looks, family background, and abilities. She had skipped grades, and though she was my upperclassman, she was younger than me. And now, I was married to her. According to Sophia, I married Amelia at 22 in a flash wedding without much emotional foundation. I hadn't even graduated from college at the time. We just got the marriage certificate without a wedding ceremony. After marriage, I found out that Amelia's heart wasn't with me, but rather close to her male best friend, Daniel, who was said to be her unattainable true love. As for me, unloved, I began to act out in our marriage, using all sorts of bizarre methods to attract Amelia's attention, only to make her increasingly disgusted with me. Her friends saw me as a joke, just waiting for the day we would divorce. Daniel, a young master in their circle, never took me seriously. My hysterical outbursts were no more than clownish antics to them. In the end, I used suicide to threaten Amelia, trying to make her cut off all contact with Daniel, but she refused. She even told me to go ahead and die, so I did. That's what happened before I woke up. It all felt surreal. Committing suicide for love was totally out of character for me. I despised groveling sycophants and would never become one for any woman. By the time I figured all this out, I was already in the master bedroom of our marital home. The doctor said I was fine, so Sophia sent me back home. Before leaving, she warned me sternly not to cause any more trouble. Looking at the enormous villa before me, I lost any desire to make a fuss. I was overwhelmed by the sheer opulence. Even a small walk-in closet was bigger than my old house. As I stood dazzled by the sight of our bedroom, I heard a noise at the door. I turned sharply and locked eyes with Amelia. Her face was as cold as ice. Although I already knew we had been married for 5 years, it was my first time seeing her face up close. I had to admit there was a reason she had been my goddess in my youth. Just having her face before me lifted my spirits, even if she looked at me with a cold expression. It seemed Sophia had some credibility that maybe I really was captivated by her looks. Seeing me silent, she frowned slightly and said, "Sincere, what are you up to now?" She walked gracefully toward the walk-in closet, passing by me as she spoke. Her footsteps didn't stop for a moment as she picked out a nightgown. I turned to look at her and asked, "What's wrong?" From the moment she suddenly returned until now, I hadn't said a word yet, and she accused me of causing trouble. Amelia's dark eyes glared at me. She said, "When did you ever not pounce on me when I came back before? Now you're changing your tactics." I was a bit surprised. Had I become this desperate since marrying Amelia? But I didn't show it on my face and just said calmly, "Fine, I won't do it anymore." I originally thought Amelia would be relieved, but unexpectedly, her frown deepened, and she looked at me even more impatiently. "I've been really tired from work lately and don't have time for your nonsense," she said. I was speechless. Seeing that I wasn't responding, Amelia's gaze suddenly turned cold. "Sincere, stop trying to do anything to Eddie. He hasn't done anything wrong. Even if you threaten me with suicide, it won't work." I was taken aback, feeling somewhat conflicted. Sophia had told me almost everything about what was going on between Amelia and me. Essentially, I loved Amelia, Amelia loved Daniel, and I, the clown in this love triangle, could only keep causing trouble for Daniel, which only made Amelia despise me more. This time, I attempted suicide because I was jealous of how much Amelia cared for Daniel. So I secretly tried to sabotage Daniel's company and smear their artists' reputations. Amelia, however, didn't hesitate to support him, that essentially telling everyone in the circle that as Boss Fife's husband, I was insignificant, not even worth one of Daniel's fingers in her heart. So I lost my balance and tried to win Amelia back by threatening suicide. The result was predictable. A woman who was already fed up with me wouldn't change her mind because of my suicide. She would only find it troublesome. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Amelia also lost patience, and I suddenly lost my appetite and said, "I'm not eating." The sound of silverware clinking against porcelain was crisp. Amelia looked up at me, her voice cold. "Sincere, that's enough." I was fuming inside. I gritted my teeth and said, "Not eating mangoes bothers you?" She replied, "Isn't it because Eddie brought them that you're not eating?" Amelia's face was icy. She said, "Sincere, when will you stop being so jealous?" Jealous of Daniel. I didn't know what the 27-year-old me was like in front of Amelia. Probably pathetic and petty. But no matter what, we were still married. Didn't she know I was allergic to mangoes? Just as I was about to speak, the butler suddenly said, "Sir, Mr. Daniel is here." A gentle voice sounded. "Amelia, am I disturbing you?" At the door, a tall figure walked in. Both the butler and the housekeeper were very familiar with him. It was clear he visited often. Just one look, and I knew this person was Daniel. I noticed the butler's form of address. I was Amelia's husband, yet he only called me Mr. Sincere, while calling him Mr. Daniel. The level of familiarity was obvious. No wonder the 27-year-old me was so hostile toward Daniel. I was her legitimate husband, but could never compare to her blatant favoritism toward another man, all under the guise of childhood friends. Anyone would feel unbalanced. Daniel looked at me with concern and said, "Mr. Sincere, I heard you try to slit your wrists. Are you okay now?" I snorted dismissively at him. I didn't know what the 27-year-old me was like in front of them. Maybe pathetic, or perhaps because I loved Amelia too much, I let them boss me around. But the current me was my 18-year-old self. I didn't love Amelia, so I didn't need to swallow my pride. Daniel, looking a bit troubled, said to Amelia, "Amelia, I'm sorry. Mr. Sincere seems not to want to see me. Maybe I shouldn't have come." I laughed. "You knew that, and still came here to see me make a fool of myself." Daniel's face instantly turned red. Amelia coldly rebuked me. "Sincere, stop being unreasonable." She was defending Daniel. I felt displeased, and my impression of her plummeted. Marrying my crush upon waking up had initially made me excited and grateful, but now it seemed Amelia was just so. No matter how beautiful or rich, she discarded her husband like trash, thinking it made her look impressive. If she had the guts, she shouldn't have married me in the first place. I was indignant. Daniel remained gentlemanly and calm. He said, "Amelia, I came specifically to invite you to my celebration party." After saying this, He seemed to realize it was inappropriate not to invite me since I was standing right there. Reluctantly, he said, "Mr. Sincere, you should come too." Initially, I didn't want to go, but seeing the hidden disdain and provocation in Daniel's eyes, I suddenly smirked and agreed. Sure. After all, I'm Amelia's husband. I should accompany her to social events. So I followed Amelia to Daniel's celebration party. When the three of us arrived, everyone in the private room looked over. Their expressions varied. Someone asked, "Why did Amelia bring him along?" Another replied, "Not surprising. Her husband is always making a scene, hostile to all the men around her, especially Eddie. I heard he even attempted suicide because of Eddie." Someone else chimed in, "Indeed. But he doesn't realize he's lucky to have married Amelia in the first place. Who is he to control her? Previous guys were one thing, but Eddie. How can he compare?" The voices were neither too loud nor too soft, just enough for me to hear. I glanced over, guessing they were either friends of Amelia or Daniel, all part of the same circle, no doubt. I sneered inwardly. No wonder the 25-year-old me wanted to die, hearing such demeaning words every day. How could I not become twisted? And back then, I must have loved Amelia deeply, suffering daily to the point of wanting to end my life. Amelia and Daniel had already taken their seats, leaving me standing alone. The people in the room muttered, "Isn't it awkward for him to stand there alone?" Someone replied, "How could it be? As long as he's with Amelia, he'd even kneel." I coldly looked at the person gossiping. I laughed and said, "She's not dead. Why would I kneel?" The person's face changed, clearly not expecting me to talk back today. Amelia looked impatient. She said, "All right, everyone, stop it." I had been so insulted, yet she didn't defend me, but only wanted to smooth things over. I sneered and said, "It seems I'm not welcome here. I won't disturb you any longer." With that, I turned and left. Behind me, I heard gasps. Someone said, "Did I see that right? He actually showed Amelia an attitude." Another person said, "Could it be that Eddie really drove him mad? I bet he won't last half an hour before coming back with his tail between his legs." I was speechless. The noisy sounds behind me were extremely annoying. I went to the outdoor swimming pool to clear my head. Not long after, Daniel suddenly came out. He said, "Mr. Sincere, you really impress me." I glanced behind him, seeing he was alone, and retorted playfully, "I hate you so much. Aren't you afraid I'll push you in?" Daniel laughed and said, "I'm more afraid you wouldn't dare. After all, everyone knows Amelia will save me." I pursed my lips, too lazy to respond. Daniel walked up to me again and asked, "Sincere, do you dare to bet?" I found it strange and said, "If you two are so in love, why doesn't Amelia divorce me? Must you trample on others' sincerity to prove your deep love?" Daniel's face changed, and he said, "Isn't it because you cling to her? You even attempted suicide just to hold on to Amelia. She just pities you." Soon he regained his calm and gentle demeanor and asked again, "Sincere, do you dare to bet?" The swimming pool's surface was shimmering, appearing clear but actually very deep. I shook my head decisively and said, "I don't dare." Daniel was speechless. "I can't swim. Attempting suicide once was enough. I wouldn't do such a stupid thing again." As soon as I stood up, I caught sight of Daniel's disappointed expression. He stood behind me and shoved me directly. With a splash, various screams reached my ears. My body hit the water and quickly sank. At that moment, I felt nothing but the terror of being engulfed by the pool water from all directions. My throat began to choke on water, and my lungs grew heavy. I struggled desperately to swim upwards, but all I saw was a familiar figure swimming quickly in the opposite direction. My wife, Amelia, swam towards Daniel. As we both fell into the water, a sharp pain pierced my heart. This might be the last bit of emotion left in my 27-year-old self. Though I had long forgotten the past and no longer loved her, my body's instincts remained, but this time, even that was completely drowned. When I woke up, I was lying by the poolside. Both Daniel and I had been rescued, but he was saved by Amelia, while I was saved by a stranger, a beautiful woman with a stunning figure, lying on the ground. She was pressing on my chest, trying to expel the water I had swallowed. I coughed it up, and in my peripheral vision, I saw Amelia approaching. Daniel was still pretending to look at Amelia's back. Amelia seemed to just remember she had a husband and frowned, asking, "Are you all right?" I didn't answer, struggling to stand up. The woman next to me tried to help, but I pushed her away. When Amelia stood in front of me, I raised my hand and slapped her, then pushed her to the ground. The surroundings fell into dead silence. I could even hear everyone's deliberately slowed breathing. Amelia, a perfect and proud beauty, had probably never been touched by anyone, not even pushed aside. I said, "Amelia, let's get a divorce." After a long silence, I heard my own voice. "I don't want anything. Consider that slap as your breakup fee to me." I had imagined Amelia's reaction: anger, shock, disappointment, disgust. But whatever her reaction, it no longer mattered to me. Everything around was eerily quiet, even quieter than before. I could hear the water droplets from my body hitting the ground and the slow breathing of the people around. They seemed very shocked that I, who had always been subservient to Amelia, had actually pushed her and even asked for a divorce. Amelia was silent for a long time. Her beautiful face still bore a clear red mark. She suddenly walked towards me, and I felt repulsed, taking a step back. In that instant, Amelia's face grew even uglier, far worse than when I had pushed her. I said, "I already told you that slap was your breakup fee." I glared at her. "Amelia, don't tell me you don't have the dignity to take that." Amelia said nothing, her lips pressed tightly together. She grabbed my wrist, trying to drag me away. In the chaos, a slender hand held mine. The woman looked at me, then at Amelia, and instead of pulling my hand away, she smiled charmingly. "Amelia, he almost drowned just now. Let it go." It was the woman who had just saved me. She was also soaking wet and had a unique charm, completely different from Amelia's cold, intelligent beauty. She was wild and alluring. I was momentarily lost in thought. Amelia seemed to notice, and her face turned frighteningly dark, gripping my hand tightly. She said, "Emma, he is my husband. What right do you have to advise me?" Emma still wore her unrestrained expression and said, "I heard him say he wants a divorce." The atmosphere grew excessively tense. Emma, seeing the murderous intent in Amelia's eyes, smiled again and said, "Anyway, I just saved your husband's life. Shouldn't you thank me?" Amelia's expression finally softened a bit. She said, "I'll give you full control over the West Suburb project." After saying that, she pulled me away. I heard gasps behind me, seemingly in shock. The West Suburb project was a massive opportunity, and Amelia handed it to Emma just like that. It was a $1 billion project, and even the Daniel family only got a small share. Yet Amelia gave it all to Emma just because she saved Amelia's husband. No way. Didn't Amelia really dislike that country bumpkin? I was speechless. As Amelia dragged me to the hotel room, I realized she was very particular. She never stayed in a room others had used, so even in hotels, a suite was always reserved for her on the top floor. She held my wrist without saying a word the entire way, leading me to the bathtub. The warm water enveloped me, and I couldn't help but say, "Amelia, can you leave?" She remained cold and silent. Ever since I pushed her away, she'd been like this. "No," she finally said in a hoarse voice. When I'd soaked enough, she suddenly came in. I didn't know what she wanted and was startled. The next second, I felt a weight on me. She was hugging me tightly. Amelia's arms wrapped around me like creeping vines, making it hard to breathe. Her delicate chin pressed against my head. I struggled, and she held me tighter. Just as my patience wore thin, I heard her restrained yet clear voice. "Sincere, I'm glad you're okay." My voice was icy as I replied, "Amelia, stop pretending." Emma was the one who saved me. How could she say something like that? I'd never forget. When Daniel and I fell into the water at the same time, she ran toward him. Even though I'd lost 5 years of memory and no longer loved her, my heart still felt a pang of instinctual pain. Dull and suffocating, like drowning. I thought, that must have been my 27-year-old self making its final struggle. I'm glad I lost my memory. Otherwise, my 27-year-old self's love for Amelia might have killed me. Amelia was at a loss for words, opening her mouth as if to speak, but stopping. "I can't swim." It's a fact that she saved Daniel. "If it weren't for Emma, I wouldn't be here safely now," I said. "You're right. I was wrong for that." After a long pause, Amelia finally said, "Sincere, this won't happen again." I replied, "It doesn't matter. After the divorce, you can save whoever you want. It has nothing to do with me." Amelia tightened her grip. "I know you're angry, but it's not what you think." She paused, then added, "About the divorce, that I don't agree." "What right do you have to disagree?" I asked. When Daniel and I fell into the water, you chose to save him without hesitation. That already put my life behind someone else's. I don't see any point in continuing this marriage. Besides, you chose him in front of so many people. Do I have no dignity? No self-respect, Amelia? I'm telling you, I will get this divorce. She seemed angry but knew I had every reason to be upset, so she held back from arguing. After I got out of the bathtub and lay on the bed, she wouldn't leave me alone. Get some sleep. We'll talk about it tomorrow, she said. I gritted my teeth. Don't come near me, Amelia. Don't make me use force. Amelia sneered. With your skills, you dare to use force on me? I gritted my teeth and tried to push her but touched the wrong place. Her face changed, a blush appearing then fading quickly. She softened suddenly, kissed the corner of my mouth, and said, "All right, stop it. I was wrong. I'll find a way to make it up to you." My head ached, my temples throbbing. I didn't know how low my 27-year-old self had sunk. Even after everything, Amelia still thought she could placate me. What did she take me for? I clenched my fists and pushed her away without hesitation. Amelia's face turned sour. She suddenly covered me with her body, looking down. "If you can't sleep, let's do something." Just as she was about to kiss me again, my face paled, sweat beading on my forehead. I couldn't help but shout, trembling all over. Amelia seemed to snap out of it. "Did I hurt you? Somewhere?" In that moment, the panic in her eyes made me think she might actually care. But I dismissed it. Wishful thinking. How could a woman who didn't care about my life care about a wound on my wrist? I bit my lip, refusing to speak. Amelia seemed anxious. "Where exactly does it hurt? Tell me." Before I could answer, the air filled with a faint scent of blood. Amelia looked at my wrist, still wrapped in bandages, dazed. She'd always thought I was playing the victim, never considering the wound was real. Her face turned serious as she slowly unwrapped the bandage. Translation Error Segment 6. I never imagined you were serious about the divorce. With a teasing smile, she looked at me and said, "When you married Amelia, you were madly in love. No matter where she went, you had to stick to her. You couldn't stand any man around her, let alone Daniel." Was I that crazy? I asked. More than that. Your possessiveness was overwhelming, and you were incredibly humble, always afraid she'd abandon you. But despite appearing to disdain you, she never thought of leaving you. You gave up all your old friends, especially female ones, after marrying her. We went through so much in college. Even though I confessed, and you rejected me, we still had our friendship, yet you cut off all contact. It was only after I joined Amelia's circle post-graduation that I could see you occasionally, but you pretended not to know me. She said a lot, and I suddenly understood our relationship. So that's how it was. She was a classmate I met after turning 18. No wonder I had no memory of her before. Then, after meeting Emma, who confessed and was rejected by me, I met Amelia, had a whirlwind wedding, and became a laughingstock, losing all dignity. My love for her was so humble that I severed ties with all old friends. Emma had to infiltrate Amelia's circle just to talk to me. I said, "So you must know a lot about me." My eyes lit up. I had amnesia, wasn't clear on my situation, and didn't even know my job. Having her around would help. I didn't want Amelia to know about my amnesia. It would complicate things. Time passed quickly. Though I didn't say anything, Emma seemed to sense my trouble. She didn't pry, but recounted my situation over the past 2 years. I understood more or less and felt sentimental. The 27-year-old me could love someone to such an extent, something the 18-year-old me couldn't imagine. Gaining 9 years out of nowhere and becoming the sycophant I once despised was hard to accept. Just as Emma and I laughed and chatted, a familiar voice came from nearby. "Isn't that Sincere? Why is he with Emma? Must be because she saved him yesterday, and he's thanking her." Someone then realized aloud. I thought Sincere wasn't the type to meet women privately. When I turned around, I saw Amelia standing in front of us, with Daniel by her side. Amelia looked at me coldly. "I remember telling you before, I don't like you being with her." I frowned. "We're getting a divorce. It's none of your business." I couldn't believe I'd cut off all friends just because Amelia didn't like it. Maintaining boundaries was one thing, but why no female friends at all? Amelia looked at Emma expressionlessly. "You saved my husband yesterday, and I thank you with the West Side Project. No need for private meetings." Emma smiled faintly, her expression provocative. "Yesterday you thanked me as his wife, but today I'm accepting his thanks as his friend. Please don't confuse the two. The atmosphere tensed instantly. I didn't want to see a standoff, so I grabbed my coat. Emma, let's go somewhere else. Amelia immediately grabbed my arm, looking at me coldly. Where are you going? What's it to you? I said, glancing at Daniel. Why don't you go be with your man? Send me the divorce papers quickly, or else he'll always be a hidden affair. Amelia opened her mouth, but I didn't want to hear it. I shook off her hand and left with Emma. By evening, I returned home. This unfamiliar world still felt foreign. I needed to find a place to stay in the next few days that once the divorce finalized, I wouldn't know where to go. Amelia saw me come in and approached coldly. You still know how to come back? Her questioning tone irritated me. I frowned. Can you stop staring at me? I just went out with a friend. What's it to you? As soon as I said it, a sharp pain shot through my temples, and blurry fragments flashed in my mind. I took a step back, gripping the sofa handle. It felt like I'd heard this phrase before. I suddenly looked up at her, eyes bloodshot. I remembered a clear image. Amelia had said the exact same words to me before she'd gone out for social engagements and come back late. When I questioned her, she'd brush me off with the same impatient tone. Now I returned those words verbatim. Amelia seemed to recall too, her lips pressing tightly in silence. After a long pause, she explained, meeting Daniel isn't what you think. Our families are old friends, some things can't be avoided. But I'm already reducing interactions with him. You don't need to do this. I interrupted. If you feel guilty for not saving me when I fell and don't want a divorce to make amends, there's no need. You might as well give me more compensation when we divorce. After that day, Amelia and I parted unpleasantly again. I couldn't understand why she didn't want a divorce. She clearly loved Daniel and was disgusted with me. Wouldn't divorce be exactly what she wanted? I couldn't figure her out, nor did I want to. The next day, I moved out. When Amelia returned and discovered this, she called immediately. Sincere, what do you mean by this? She asked. What do you mean? We're getting a divorce that can't still live together, can we? Get the paperwork done as soon as possible. Before I finished, she hung up. I tossed my phone, not wanting to deal with it. Just as I finished tidying, someone knocked. I thought it was a delivery, but when I opened the door, Amelia stood there, barely containing anger. My face changed. What are you doing here? How did you know I was here? Amelia walked in, glancing around the modest apartment. You'd rather live in this dump just to be separated from me? Taking a deep breath, I replied, Amelia, I'm not throwing a tantrum. I really want a divorce. Things have come to this point, and I don't understand why don't you want a divorce? Isn't this what you wanted? When did I ever say I wanted a divorce? Amelia looked at me as if I were unreasonable. Are you still mad about Daniel? Her eyes darkened. I thought you understood. I did intentionally not save you that day. Seeing me stand coldly, she sighed, grasped my shoulders, and made me sit. Sincere, stop being childish. Come home with me. This won't happen again. So many things had happened wasn't it too late to fix things? I pushed her hand away. No need. Just get the divorce papers ready. Amelia suddenly cupped my face. Sincere, do you have to be so stubborn? I told you I'm not being stubborn. Do you really want to sleep alone in a place like this? What else? Amelia suddenly bit my earlobe, cooing, Honey, come home with me. You won't be able to sleep alone here. I found it funny. Maybe for a princess like you. This place is simple, but for me, it's great. It's also close to work. Amelia sighed. Do I have to spell it out? Sincere, you can't sleep without me. I widened my eyes, shocked. I can't sleep without you. Since waking up, it seemed Amelia and I were doomed lovers. I loved her. She was annoyed. But why did it now seem like we were a loving couple who just bickered? Amelia wanted to say more, but I pulled her up and pushed her toward the door. Amelia, I've decided to divorce you. I can't live like this for another day. After kicking Amelia out, I started setting up my apartment and caught up on work, which took hours. That evening, checking social media, a photo posted by Daniel caught my eye. It was of him and Amelia, discreetly taken. Only her profile, but even a half-silhouetted profile of her beautiful face was recognizable. Daniel had also posted cryptically, If we hadn't missed each other, wouldn't the man by your side be me? But fortunately, it's not too late. We have time to fix everything. I laughed coldly. Wasn't this implying Amelia being with me lacked love, and we'd divorce so she could be with him? I liked the post, commented with 99, then deleted him. I also found Amelia's number and blocked all her contacts. The next day at work, Amelia was already downstairs, sullen, waiting for me. As soon as she saw me, she walked over. Did you block me? Sorry, I admitted. I shouldn't have blocked you. Amelia's expression softened. I added, forget it. We haven't divorced yet. Are you here to get me to sign the divorce papers? Since I need to take leave, we can sign them and go to the civil registry for the certificate. Amelia's face darkened. Sincere, add my number back. No, I replied. Her tone suddenly softened. Honey, I'm sorry. Please add my number back. I rolled my eyes. I don't even remember your number. Her expression changed. You don't remember my number? Yes, I said. Why? She grabbed my shoulder firmly, seeming to realize something. How could you forget my number? You always knew it by heart. Damn.my heart skipped a beat. She noticed. I averted my eyes. I just forgot. So what? We're getting a divorce anyway. Can't I forget your number? Sincere, what happened to you? Ever since you woke up, you've been like a different person. Afraid she'd figure it out, I shook off her hand. Isn't that normal? After a major event, people change. Do you still expect me to follow you around like a shadow? Humble and without self-respect? Amelia looked at me, a flicker of danger in her eyes, ignoring my words. She grabbed my phone, skillfully tried unlocking it. Password incorrect. She frowned. You changed the password. Yes. So what? It used to be my birthday, she said coldly, hurt in her eyes. I didn't want to argue. Amelia, give me back my phone. I need to take leave. If you want, I can buy the whole company for you. Is work necessary? She tried several passwords, mumbling our wedding anniversary. Incorrect. She bit her lip and tried my birthday, which worked. She gave me a long look, said nothing, and changed the password to our wedding anniversary. I snatched the phone back, tried unlocking. No luck. Frustrated, I yelled, Amelia, what right do you have to change my password? The password is our wedding anniversary. You can change it back, she said. I was stunned. How could I remember our wedding anniversary? I had amnesia. My understanding of her was a long ago crush. Now, knowing her true nature, her beauty, body, and wealth didn't appeal. I'd never actively learned such details. You forgot, didn't you? Her eyes were like an eagle's, trying to see through me. She gripped my shoulder. You have amnesia. She said it with certainty. Indeed, I did. Amelia discovered my amnesia, and the divorce process slowed. She now had more reasons not to divorce me. You just don't remember. It's not that you don't love me anymore, she said. Sincere, once you remember, you won't want to divorce me. Her words made me uncomfortable. I was also afraid that if I remembered, I'd turn back into the 27-year-old humble Sincere. Too pathetic. So I'd rather never remember. Returning home from work, I opened the door and was about to put my bag on the sofa when I saw a shadow sitting there, looking up at me. Sincere, she called. I was startled. When did you get here? Wait, how did you get the key to my apartment? I contacted the landlord, Amelia answered. Give me the key. I'll change the locks tomorrow, I said impatiently. She said nothing, just looked at me with a complex expression. How much did you forget? I didn't forget, I snapped. I'm divorcing you because I don't love you anymore. How many times do I have to say it? Before I finished, Amelia grabbed my arm and hugged my waist tightly, burying her face in my waist. This position was dangerous, but she seemed to have no other thoughts, just wanting to lean on me. Don't say that. You have amnesia. I won't hold it against you, she said hoarsely. When you remember, we'll settle the score. I looked at her impatiently. The tension had peaked. Amelia, are you ever going to stop? You don't love me at all. You're never good to me. Why should I stay with you? Even if I lost my memory, so what? I don't like being the person who blindly follows you, losing myself. I prefer who I am now. I don't love you anymore. Do you understand? I've wanted to leave you for a long time. I've wanted to leave her for a long time. Realizing this, Amelia held me tighter. No, she said. We're just having a fight, Sincere. I've already explained it to you. That time wasn't on purpose. She held my face. I didn't want to bring this up because I thought we understood each other best. Even if I saved Daniel, you should have known it was a misunderstanding. She rubbed her forehead against mine and sighed softly. Now that you have amnesia and don't remember me, I need to explain. There's nothing between Daniel and me like you think. The Liu family and the Ito family have been friends for generations. His grandfather once helped mine, so we were engaged as children. But I never had romantic feelings for him. Later, I married you. My grandfather felt guilty toward him, so he asked me to take care of him. That's all. I sneered. Who would believe that? You valued his life more than mine. Amelia poked my cheek and sighed. It seems you're still upset about that. I'm sorry. I didn't know you had amnesia then. I should have explained sooner. I didn't want to hear her excuses, but Amelia insisted, holding me too tightly to escape. That day, I heard someone fall in. My first thought was to check on you. When they said it was Daniel, I was relieved, but he's like a grandson to my grandfather, so I saved him. I didn't realize you'd fallen in too. These simple words seemed to absolve her of all responsibility. Seeing my disbelief, she fell silent, then asked, "You don't believe me, do you?" "Why should I?" I looked at her coldly. "Everyone saw you rush to save him without a second thought. Even after Emma saved me, you were cold to me." "Amelia, I'm not blind that I can feel your indifference." Looking wronged, Amelia hugged me gently this time. Her touch was tender, the first sign of weakness she'd shown me. "Sincere, I wasn't cold. I was angry because you almost died. If anything had happened to you, I might have wanted to kill someone." I shook my head. "If you really care, divorce me. Let me go. Let me be free." She refused. "Anything but that. We can talk about divorce when you remember everything." "You think I won't want a divorce once I remember?" Amelia didn't answer, but her silence said it all. I sneered. "It's useless, Amelia. If fate made me forget, maybe it's a sign to leave you. I don't want to remember. I don't want to be that 27-year-old version of myself." Amelia could only pacify me temporarily. I lived normally for a few days until Daniel found me. "Sincere, let's talk." He looked haggard, with deep dark circles under his eyes, waiting outside my office. "Speak quickly if you have something to say," I said, not wanting a scene. Daniel laughed sarcastically. "You're proud of yourself, aren't you? Amelia unilaterally terminated our family's cooperation. Now everyone knows the Ito family has lost its backing." I frowned, genuinely surprised, but kept calm. "What does that have to do with me?" "Talk to her." He gritted his teeth. "But she said she won't help me." "Did you say something to her?" I grew impatient. "I thought you came to apologize, but it's just about your interests. We have nothing to say." I turned to leave. Daniel shouted after me, "Why can a country bumpkin like you be her husband? What makes you better than me?" His words stopped me in my tracks. The ringing in my ears felt familiar, like echoes from when I first married Amelia, when her wealthy friends mocked me. Back then, Daniel had seemed friendly, giving advice that often made me embarrass myself. I'd grown timid, paranoid, afraid Amelia would leave me. Fragments of memories flashed, though not fully formed. Daniel chased after me. "Sincere, I can apologize, but you must tell Amelia." "Get lost." I shook off his hand, eyes blazing. "I have no interest in your affairs with Amelia. Tell her I never want to see either of you again." Just then, I bumped into a familiar figure. "We always run into each other in these situations, huh, Amelia?" It was Emma's voice. Before I could react, someone pulled me away. Amelia was suddenly beside me, glaring at Emma. "Stay away from him." Emma shrugged. "I didn't do anything. Why so tense?" She smiled at Daniel, who stood nearby with a dark expression. "Why bother Sincere privately?" Daniel snapped. "He's the one troubling me." His face softened when he looked at Amelia. "Victoria, we've known each other since childhood. What happened was a misunderstanding. Can't you let it go?" Amelia replied coldly, "I've done all I should. I owe you nothing. I only helped you out of respect for your grandfather, not so you could be insatiable." Daniel, increasingly agitated, couldn't argue. He clenched his fists, shot me a hateful glare, and left. Only then did I understand. Amelia had made the pool incident public, claiming there was never a choice between Daniel and me. She would always save me. "I didn't know you were in the water, so I saved Daniel. If I had known, I would have only saved you." Her words bluntly negated Daniel's importance, reversing the narrative that had made me a laughingstock. By publicly taking my side and humiliating Daniel, she'd not only harmed his interests but also his image. But if Amelia had no feelings for him, why had I seen him as a rival? Fragments of memories resurfaced, my head throbbing. I shook it, and Amelia's eyes filled with concern. "Are you unwell? Let me take you to the hospital." "I'm not going. Just keep Daniel away from me." "Don't worry. I won't give him another chance." Emma, still nearby, interjected, "You can choose not to make mistakes, but not all mistakes are forgivable." I agreed, but Amelia looked at her coldly. "The West Suburb project is yours as thanks for saving him. Don't push it." Emma laughed. "After all, I'm his savior. He can't swim. If I hadn't acted, you wouldn't have a husband. Is that how you treat your savior?" Amelia's eyes sharpened. "How do you know he can't swim?" Emma smirked. Guess. She sighed. Since you're divorcing, I'll admit it. I knew him long ago and confessed, but he fell for you. She clicked her tongue at me. Sincere, if you regret your choice, I can still give you a chance. Instantly, Amelia lunged at her, and they fought fiercely. I'd never seen Amelia so emotional. Or women fight. Uninterested in breaking it up, I shook my head and went back to the office. To my surprise, Amelia arrived before me, a bruise on her lip. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. I came to pick you up after work. I looked at her scars. She avoided my gaze, uneasy. Don't worry, I'm not hurt. She got it worse. I scoffed. Who said I was worried? Don't flatter yourself. Her expression fell, but she repeated, I'll pick you up. I grew impatient. I want a divorce. What part of that don't you understand? Amelia looked hurt, her voice softening. You have amnesia. You don't remember how you felt. You'll change once you remember. Why should I want to remember? Even if you and Daniel are innocent, the past hurts were real. My decision won't change. Do you think I'll go back to being humble and forgive you at your whim? No, I never thought that. Her voice was hoarse. Seeing her like this, I felt helpless. I looked into her eyes. When I first woke up with amnesia, I was terrified. Finding out you were my wife made me happy. I'd known you and thought you were good. Amelia, I always hoped to marry a kind wife. But that I never imagined my future wife would be someone like this. I'm disappointed in you and also in myself. I've always despised those who grovel in relationships. Yet I allowed you to hurt me under the guise of love, to the point where I didn't even recognize myself. Since I woke up with amnesia, I've never felt love from you, but only perfunctory gestures and impatience. Even if you and Daniel are innocent, it doesn't matter. You never fulfilled your duties as a wife. You let him hurt me, and you hurt me too. I don't think there's any need to continue this marriage. Let's get a divorce. I spoke at length, saying everything on my mind. At that moment, I seemed to see a certain light shattering in Amelia's eyes. I turned away without looking at her again. After that day, I refused to hear any news about Amelia. The people in that circle always fawned over the powerful and trampled the weak. After knowing what happened last time, they began to inquire about me. Some tried to curry favor, but I ignored them, just doing my own thing, waiting for the day Amelia would agree to a divorce. At the end of the workday, I stretched lazily, planning to invite Emma for dinner to formally thank her. Just as I stepped out of the office, I saw a black luxury car parked there. Colleagues around were whispering and winking at me. I couldn't show displeasure, so I forced a smile. I saw Amelia leaning against the car door, her figure striking. Her face attracted attention wherever she went. I cursed inwardly and walked past without a glance. Amelia immediately approached, calling Sincere in an unprecedentedly gentle tone. I frowned, short on patience. Are you here to deliver the divorce papers? Her smile froze, but she quickly recovered, deliberately changing the subject. She pulled out a car key. Sincere, do you like it? Immediate gasps of admiration rose around me. Familiar colleagues I hadn't dared to get close to due to my amnesia. I didn't expect Amelia to make such a cliché move. I instinctively replied, I don't like off-road vehicles. But when I saw the car key, my heart leapt with joy. I was surprised to realize I liked off-road vehicles, that the 18-year-old me had hated them, preferring sports cars. More people gathered, making me uncomfortable. I urged Amelia to leave, but she stood her ground. I pulled her aside. Let's talk in private. Amelia led me into the car, and before I realized it, we were seated in a restaurant. Have dinner with me, she said, looking somewhat desolate. I frowned. After this meal, will you agree to divorce me? Amelia was silent for a long time. If you don't have dinner with me, I won't agree. All right, you said it. I picked up the knife and fork. The meal was meticulously prepared. Wine, candles, floral arrangements. It was the romantic, aesthetically pleasing Western meal that didn't fill you up. I finished quickly, wiped my mouth, and stood. I'm full. I'm leaving. Amelia looked at me, hurt in her eyes. Sincere, did you forget what day it is today? What day? I paused. Amelia tightened her grip on the knife and fork, then said sadly, Today is our wedding anniversary. Wedding anniversary? I had no memory of it. After searching, I couldn't recall how we used to live. Seeing her despondent, I held back my urge to mock. Well, it's not so bad. Let's consider it our last supper. She remained silent, a shadow under her eyes. From my angle, her delicate features looked even more beautiful. I understood her desire to salvage our marriage, but I really didn't think there was anything left to save. Sorry, I need to use the bathroom. I turned to leave. The bathroom had a large mirror. I turned on the faucet, letting cold water splash my face to calm down. Staring at my reflection, I told myself not to look back. I slapped my face to stay alert and turned to leave, only to see Amelia walking towards me, her eyes deep with an emotion I couldn't decipher. Sincere, please try to remember. Before I could react, my back hit the wall. She kissed me, arms wrapped around my waist like a vine. Her kisses were gentle but desperate. Amelia, stop it. I didn't know how long it lasted, but soon I was enveloped in her sweet scent. Yet all I wanted was to push her away. Amelia, it's no use. I knew her persistence was because of my amnesia, that she believed that if I remembered, I wouldn't want a divorce. But it was useless. I knew myself. Even if I regained my memory, I would still want a divorce. As I finished speaking, I saw a panic on her face I'd never seen before. She gripped my hand tightly, fingers intertwined, causing me pain. No, sincere that you love me. We love each other. You just forgot. Love? I found it amusing. I took a sudden step back, hitting my head against the wall. Sharp pain shot through me, and my face paled. Sincere, what's wrong? Are you okay? Amelia asked, voice filled with concern. I pushed her away, enduring the pain. I'm fine. Don't touch me. Amelia stood there, softly holding me, unwilling to let go, yet not wanting to confine me. Her breath was close, kisses passionate. My body weakened under her assault, powerless to resist. But at that moment, the pain at the back of my head brought forth clear images. My body wobbled, and Amelia protected my head while kissing me more intimately. In this situation, fragmented memories became increasingly coherent, until they turned into unmistakable, clear recollections. I remembered our first time, how we got together, how we got married. I also remembered how Daniel and others mocked me, how I embarrassed myself in front of her parents, how I was ridiculed by Victoria's friends. I remembered how we fought because of Daniel. So that's how it was. My heart ached dully. All past pains were laid bare, inescapable, even with amnesia. Our first time was cliché. At a party, she got drunk, and I had too much to drink. She looked into my eyes, drunkenly asking me to take her to a room. I didn't know who initiated it, but by the time I realized, she was in my arms. I was so nervous I could barely breathe. Even though it was her first time too, she gripped the bed sheet in panic, yet in the blink of an eye, she turned back into that unattainable ice queen. The next morning, she saw me and simply said, "Let's date." I had secretly liked her for years, so I agreed. We fell into a passionate relationship like any normal couple, but we both had strong possessive desires. She didn't want me getting too close to female friends, and I didn't want her having special relations with other men. We were loyal, but Daniel's appearance disrupted this balance. She said he was like a grandson to her grandfather, so she couldn't be too cold to him. She had her reasons, but I couldn't accept it. After marrying her, I felt inferior due to my background. She came from a wealthy family, while I was an ordinary man who happened to get into a prestigious university and meet her. Otherwise, with my status, I wouldn't have a chance with someone like her. Daniel was a rich young master from her circle. Even though she told me his family had fallen and needed her help, his status loomed over me. Even in decline, he was a rich second generation I had to look up to. These disparities made me unlike myself. I became unreasonable, checking her phone, restricting her interactions with any men, even colleagues and subordinates. I knew most were innocent, but my emotions had spiraled out of control. I couldn't control myself. All sweet memories had vanished, leaving only constant arguments and scenes where I was ridiculed for not fitting into her circle. I remember our last argument vividly. She told me she didn't want children. I asked, "What if you get pregnant? Could you ignore Daniel for a child?" Amelia looked at me with extreme disappointment. "You think a child is just a tool for you to solidify your status? I would rather never get pregnant. Even if I did, I would have an abortion." Her heartless words left me in despair. At that time, everyone in our circle said that even if Daniel's family went bankrupt, Amelia would help them. I begged her not to, but she went ahead. The double blow was too much. I threatened suicide, something I had done before. Amelia saw us hugging and felt so disgusted she almost threw up. "No, it's not that I'm just not feeling well," she stammered, tone pained. Suddenly, Something dawned on her. I exchanged a glance with Emma, whose face also darkened. She turned to the clearly uncomfortable Amelia. You don't think? Amelia's eyes lit up, as if she'd also thought of the possibility. The baby? I shook my head vehemently. That's impossible. I closed my eyes, feeling dizzy. Suddenly, I was reminded of the time I wanted to end my life because Amelia had told me she didn't want the baby and would get rid of it if pregnant. Seeing my reaction, Amelia immediately disregarded her discomfort and stepped forward, choking back tears. Sincere. I was already annoyed, not wanting to face the possibility of her being pregnant. I don't want to see you anywhere except for the divorce papers. Amelia wiped her mouth, dejectedly taking out another car key. You don't like the SUV? How about the sports car? I don't like it either. I looked at her coldly. I don't like anything that's yours. Her eyes turned red. You don't like the SUV, don't like the sports car, the house, the shares to anything I have. I can give to you. I have no other options left. She pleaded, no matter how much we fight, I don't want a divorce. Not wanting to be a spectacle, I grabbed her arm and pulled her into the car. As we drove, her face grew paler. I sighed and asked stiffly, are you okay? Amelia immediately straightened up. I'm fine. She touched her belly, looking hopeful. I was at a loss for words. After a while, I calmed down, took a deep breath, and said, Amelia, you don't have to do this. I don't blame you anymore except for the fact that you saved Daniel, which hurt me deeply. I've come to terms with everything else. We're just not suited for each other. You never made me feel secure, and I lacked confidence, which made me paranoid and did many things that annoyed you. So, it's not entirely your fault. We've both contributed to the mess we're in now. I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Although I didn't want to see Amelia, the person I used to be was even more annoying. I was obsessed with her, seeing nothing else but our love. Such a person lacked charm that even I didn't like myself. Why would Amelia? I didn't dislike you, she said hoarsely. I was indeed impatient, but I never thought about divorcing you. I believed that even with all our arguments, we'd spend our lives together. But I don't want to live like that anymore, I replied, shaking my head. Daniel was just a trigger. The real issue is that we're from different worlds. I can't trust you, and you can't unconditionally accommodate me. Over time, we'll get exhausted, and new problems will arise. Amelia, we're adults now. Let's not be childish. As the black Cullinan drove away, I insisted Amelia not take me home. Standing downstairs, watching her receding figure, I sighed. If she really was pregnant. My family ties were thin. Even with my parents, the bond wasn't deep. After their divorce, they each started new families. When I met Amelia, I'd always wanted a harmonious, perfect family of three. I clung to her like a lifeline, but the tighter I held, the faster she slipped away. I'd always wanted a child, so when she said she didn't, I lost all hope in her. I thought that even if Amelia didn't want the baby, as long as she gave birth, I could raise it alone, but she gave me no hope at all. I should be as ruthless as her, but when I thought about my own blood, I couldn't be heartless. It was a day off. After a brain checkup at the hospital, I headed home with the report only to see a long lost face on the street. Sincere, what's that in your hand? Daniel appeared out of nowhere, startling me. I instinctively shoved the report into my bag. What's it to you? It's none of your business. I was cautious. Daniel looked far from normal. Haggard, eyes vacant, clothes disheveled. He seemed to have suffered a catastrophe. Seeing my evasiveness, he lunged to grab the report, but in his crazed state, he was no match for me. Suddenly, he screamed, "Do you know Amelia's pregnant? She's carrying your child." Why? Why did I lose everything while you get to have her pregnant? I was the privileged one, her childhood friend. How can you, a newcomer, take her away from me? What? Amelia's really pregnant? I was reeling, hardly registering Daniel's outburst. Why? Why? He shouted. If you have issues, go to Amelia directly. It has nothing to do with me. I stepped back, not wanting to hear his nonsense. This was Amelia's problem to handle. I'd been naive, thinking that as long as I was by her side, no man could turn her head. But for a woman like her, changing her mind was easy. There was no need to waste energy warning other men. It was pointless. Are you mocking me? Daniel laughed maniacally, stepping forward and staring intently. You know, she completely cut off cooperation with the E family, making me a laughingstock in the circle. Now she can't help me, so you're mocking me, right? I frowned, stepping back to leave, But Daniel blocked my path again. You told her everything, didn't you? What are you talking about? Daniel's voice broke. I was blind before. Flashback to the hospital after Amelia's accident. Her mother.in-law spoke with hatred. I did like you before. I watched you grow up and thought I knew you well. But matters of the heart can't be forced. My daughter doesn't like you, and I can't force her to be with you. Even if I think Sincere isn't the right person for her, at least his heart is good. As it turns out, Amelia's judgment is better than mine. I know everything you've done. Out of respect for your grandfather, we didn't hold it against you. But I never expected you to get worse, to come up with such cruel schemes. If anything happens to Amelia, you'll never have peace in this life. She called Amelia's father, already on his way, instructing him not to let the Eve family off easily. All this was Daniel's doing. Daniel collapsed, wailing like a madman. Her mother.in-law shook her head in pain. You were spoiled at home, never properly taught, and that's why you've ended up like this. End of flashback. I didn't want to hear another word. I just watched the operating room door, hoping Amelia would be okay. When the light turned off, my eyes lit up. Be quiet. The surgery's over, I said to the two people next to me. Her mother.in-law closed her mouth, gesturing for bodyguards to drag Daniel away. She gave me a look that we weren't on the same level, our relationship far from harmonious, but there was mutual respect. The doctor came out. How is she? We both asked. He sighed. She's being stitched up now. Her condition depends on her will to survive. His words were vague, but her mother.in-law and I understood. After a long silence, Amelia was moved to a VIP room. Her mother.in-law and I walked in wordlessly, perhaps too exhausted to speak. Her eyes were red, devoid of the authority she'd had with Daniel. At the end of the day, she was just a worried mother. I sat by the bed, looking at Amelia's closed eyes, unable to hold back. I'm sorry. My voice was hoarse. Her mother.in-law ignored me, then said after a while, It's a lie to say I don't blame you, but I know it's Daniel's fault. I understand, Mom, I whispered. No matter what, I'll take care of Amelia. She sighed. I know about the divorce. I didn't like you before, but I never made things difficult, even defended you. But Sincere, confidence comes from within. If you don't believe you're good enough, always hesitant and afraid, how can anyone else think you're worthy? Amelia's parents had only one daughter and mostly respected her choices. After we married, she'd asked them not to interfere, and they agreed. Her mother.in-law had never spoken to me so openly. I nodded, saying nothing. Amelia's father arrived, face stern, telling her mother.in-law everything was handled. Now, we just had to wait for Amelia to wake up. We stayed the night. You must be tired. Go home and rest, her mother.in-law said. I'm okay. I'm young. You go first. She frowned, about to speak, but my head spun, and everything went black. When I woke, I was in a bed next to Amelia's. How do you feel? Any discomfort? She asked anxiously. No. I shook my head. How long did I sleep? Not long. The doctor said you were exhausted. I nodded, noticing her complicated expression. Is there something else? She sighed. Did you know Amelia is pregnant? I bit my lip, unsure how to respond. I didn't want them to know. If they did, they'd want her to keep the baby. After our divorce, they'd fight for custody. With their wealth, I had no chance. This family was hard. And I couldn't let that happen. I kept silent. Her mother.in-law seemed to sense something. I don't want to interfere, but this child. The doctor said if the mother is safe, the baby will be fine. When Amelia wakes up, she'll definitely keep it. We hope the child can grow up in a complete family. I frowned. Auntie, the most important thing is whether Amelia wakes up. She sighed. Sincere, Amelia let you down, but she truly loves you. She was just spoiled, didn't know how to express herself. Before leaving, she patted my shoulder. Rest assured, the Liu family will protect you. This is what Amelia wants most. Alone with Amelia, I looked at her closed eyes, feeling a twinge of heartache, then anger at the thought of the baby. Amelia, I remember you said you didn't want this baby. If you want to abort it after waking up, I hope you never wake up. No response. I smiled bitterly. Aren't you trying to atone? Lying here, are you being lazy? I know you can't hear me, but what Mom said affected me. I need someone to vent to. Amelia, since you don't like kids, when you wake up and give birth, I'll take care of the baby. But they'll still call you Mom. You're their biological mother. Even if we divorce, we can coexist. But I won't be alone. Maybe soon your child will call someone else mom. I provoked her on purpose. I won't remarry, maybe date, but not marry. What do you think of Emma? She's liked me for years and saved my life that she'd make a great stepmom. Before I finished, Amelia's fingers twitched slightly. She didn't wake, but I was disappointed. Amelia, I'm not joking. If you don't wake up soon, I really. Her eyelids fluttered. This time, it wasn't an illusion. Doctor. I called Sophie, Amelia's friend who'd been at the hospital. She and the doctor hurried over. After an exam, Sophie smiled. She should wake up soon. Don't worry. I thanked her. Sophie, who'd once called me Mr. G, apologized. I used to think you weren't good enough for Amelia, but it's between you two. As long as she likes you. I shouldn't have been aggressive. It's in the past. I was indifferent. She'd never been a friend, just an acquaintance. She left. I sat by the bed. At midnight, drowsiness hit. I lay down, holding her hand. The hospital was cold, and as I woke to find a blanket, warmth fell on my shoulder. Startled, I saw Amelia covering me with a blanket. You woke up. Overjoyed, I grabbed her hand, about to call the doctor. While waiting, Amelia hugged me gently. Don't let my child call someone else mom. Her voice was muffled, just awake. I was both angry and amused, pushing her away. Let's check your head first. Amelia woke, and the Liu family rejoiced. The E family was relieved. If anything had happened to Amelia, they'd have faced severe consequences. Though she woke, the E.Liu relationship was irreparably broken. Our relationship became delicate. We'd argued, but never thought of separating. Later, because she'd said she didn't want kids and would abort if pregnant, I'd thought of ending my life. After she woke, she took me to a psychologist. When she found out the reason, the regret on her face was vivid. Sincere, those were just angry words. How could I not want our child? She was scared, holding me tight. Back then, you said that as long as I was pregnant, I could ignore Daniel. No matter how much you argued. I thought you were jealous that just needed a little coaxing. I know I did wrong, but I thought I had reasons. I wanted you to understand me without considering your feelings. When you said those things, I thought you were using the child as a bargaining chip. So I got angry and said harsh words. But I never meant them. I understood. I'd said hurtful things too, but that time she'd broken my heart. Sincere, give me a chance. I can't be without you or this child. Watch how I behave, okay? If we continue like this, you can leave, and I won't complain. I want to try again. I love you so much that we were so in love. I can't let go easily. How could I be willing to let go? But I was scared to try again. What she said was true that we'd had many misunderstandings, but the hurt was real. I was hurt too, she said, cupping my face. We're like two porcupines, but I'm willing to put away my quills. My mind was a mess. Amelia wasn't in a hurry. She showed concern within boundaries, never overstepping. She'd just woken, so I told her to focus on herself and the baby, but she always knew everything about me. I thought she was obsessed with a complete family, but later realized we'd both been petty in marriage. I'd lacked security, annoying her. She'd had her own issues. I always thought the start of our relationship wasn't honorable, that you stayed with me because of an accident. There are countless outstanding men. I worried you'd think I'm nothing special after seeing them. Once, I blurted out, Amelia, our status is too unequal. I couldn't adjust, so I proposed divorce. It wasn't just your fault. I had issues. I didn't want to let myself go further. Amelia was regretful. Sincere, I never looked at other men. I liked you a long time ago, but never found a chance. You thought that day was an accident, but even drunk, I wouldn't let someone I didn't like stay. Surprised, I interrupted, you weren't drunk that day? I always felt guilty. She smiled apologetically. I was only slightly tipsy, clear-headed. In retrospect, I took advantage of the situation, but I was in my early 20s. Didn't want to be rejected, so I tested you that way. I wouldn't do it now. I blamed her. If you'd said so earlier, I wouldn't have been so insecure. She put my hand on her chest. Yes, I was foolish. I liked you but pretended not to, hoping you'd revolve around me. I knew you disliked Daniel, but thought you overreacted. Instead of resolving it with Grandpa. Sincere, I made many mistakes. If you hadn't lost your memory, I wouldn't have realized how excessive I was. We talked for hours, clearing up misunderstandings. Unconsciously, I fell asleep. By then, she was over 6 months pregnant, belly round. I lifted her gently onto the bed. She woke, instinctively wrapping her arms around my neck. Thank you. She looked into my eyes, tilting up to kiss me. I didn't speak, just felt it. When she let go, her hoarse voice whispered, "Sincere, can we not get a divorce?" I laughed. After her investment, I'd expected a more atmospheric request, but she just didn't want a divorce. Seeing me laugh, she was unhappy but didn't say it, gently scratching me. "Don't laugh. Answer me." I stopped laughing, expressionless. She panicked. "You don't have to answer. It's fine as it is." Understanding her panic, I sighed, stroking her cheek. "Let me think a bit more, okay?" Though misunderstandings were cleared, rebuilding trust wasn't easy, especially for a couple who'd been through so much. Even without crossing major lines, scars remained. It would take time. She focused on the baby, and for the little one's sake, I was more forgiving. She was suffering. Pregnancy caused her discomfort, but she was strong. I felt heartbroken. It was my child too. The baby was born, and time flew. I'd prepared myself. If Amelia was a good mother, I'd be pleased. If not, I could leave. She never let me down. One day, after putting the baby to sleep, she turned to the bedroom and saw me leaning on the door, smiling. She walked softly to me. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. It's just, I haven't seen your cold side in a long time." She sighed in relief, amused, wrapping her arms around my waist. "Those are dark times. Can we not bring them up?" "Why not?" I laughed. "I still like the old cold you. You must have looked beautiful, changing diapers with a cold face." Knowing I was teasing, she chased me into the bedroom. When she pounced, I heard, "Honey, did I pass the test?" Chuckling, I said, "You passed, but there's a probation period." "How long?" "A lifetime, I suppose."